How's it going? I think that the God of War creator, David Joff, or Jaff, or whatever, is kind of a goober. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because about a week ago, he made some video where he's talking to his chat that Kratos himself was used to make this story about family, and that it's kind of stupid that, um, you know, Kratos would do such a thing, because for some reason in his mind, Kratos can't have any development. It's pretty close minded, I would say. I don't know. I think I'm going to show you the clip here and I'm going to talk about it. But I just think that what he has to say, although he is the creator of God of War, and I have done nothing to that caliber, I think he's got a really stupid view on why why Kratos is such this bad character. Now, I will say that he has some decent points throughout the video that I'm obviously going to pinpoint. But overall, his message, I think, is kind of, as I stated before, closed-minded. Um, but I'll show you the clip right now. Here it goes.
Now, I want to tell you something about this shit. I liked very much. I thought 2018 was great. Ragnarok, not my cup of tea. But this is the problem with Indiana Jones. I don't want these characters to grow. I don't give a fuck what you're going through at the studio. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. If you're going to build a brand new IP or you're going to build a character into the God of War lore and that character is struggling or dealing with your problems that a lot of you guys that have gotten older and girls at the studio have dealt with, that's wonderful. Do that shit all day long. But don't take the character Kratos or Indiana Jones and go, you know what? I'm Steven Spielberg. I'm older now and I'm really into family and I want to tell stories about fathers and sons and God. No, fuck you.
Already off the bat, he's talking about why these creators shouldn't be able to uh, allow themselves to write in a story of their personal lives. Like the thing he was talking about, Steven Spielberg. He's like, "Oh, I have a family now." Yeah, that shit happens. People's lives change over the course of time. And yeah, I understand that God of War beforehand was about this guy who was really, really angry and decided to kill everyone. I get that. But he's older now. That they wanted to make this IP fresh, And for him to think that that's stupid is stupid in itself. He has to understand that Kratos is not going to just be the same dude after dealing with all the shit he's been through. He created those games. He should understand, hey, maybe Kratos feels a little bad. At the end of God of War 3, he starts realizing maybe the vengeance is not his correct path. And guess what? Throughout the two games, he says, hey, you know what? Maybe I should try to be a little bit better. It's just really, it makes me think, what is going on in his life that makes it so that it's so hard to understand? People change, people develop through time. That is something that is inevitable. And now he's upset because Kratos, still being a god, still being able to do all the feats that he does in God of War 4, God of War Ragnarok, is still not good enough, I guess. He's not this fucking angry Zeus. Like he's still that guy, but he has to be better. That is one of the themes of Ragnarok, is being better. And for some reason, to David, that is such a sin or a crime or whatever.
That is not what this character is, whether it's Indy or whether it's the goddamn Kratos. Okay, I just stop. I get it. I don't know. It's just like someone needs to be able to tell these people no sometimes and say, look, we love that you're arty farty. We love that you're taking shit from your personal life. We love that you're treating the medium, and Sony always has, as an art form as well as a business. We get it, we love it, we support it, but somebody still needs to step up there and go, you need to do all that within the pin that we've put up a fence for you, and if you step outside, the electric shock collar is going to get you. You need to do all that within the pin that says this is what God of War is. This is what Indiana Jones is. And if you want to make something that's not that, that's cool, but don't fucking call it God of War and don't fucking call it Indiana Jones.
Now, basically, he's hitting the point home that God of War is its own thing and should have stayed its own thing. And it's not, I understand how probably it could be upsetting for him. He did create God of War with a vision, and yes, the character has changed pretty drastically, I would admit. He has a kid now. He is, some would consider, softer. The thing he says about being artsy fartsy um annoys the shit out of me, because if you think of these games, God of War, Last of Us, uh, Uncharted, all these games that like Sony has looked at and been like, you know what? There's a story to tell here. That media, the point of the stories is to tell something that is thought provoking, something that is going to make you think, something that is going to make you want to maybe change your mind, and has a moral from start to end. There is a development and a slow progress, and boom, there's the end goal right there. So for him to say, "Oh, it's artsy fartsy," it's a story, it's a character, it's an arc. Um, and he actually does have something to say a little bit later about arcs, which I think is funny. I understand Kratos is this fucking powerhouse. He's angry at everyone. And he says, like, here's the pin that we set up, right? You can't go beyond that. But why? And have to restrict people's art forms is should be against everything that he believes in. He is a creator, an artist, a person who makes shit. They should not be confined to one thing. They should have a bunch of ideas that they are able to connect and make look and do well. And that's exactly what God of War 4 and God of War Ragnarok does. They do that well. They make this character that is so angry at the world and so angry with himself and so this and that, and they are trying to heal him because he, from the beginning, back in the PS2 with God of War 1, wants to be healed. He didn't want any of this. He went on this path of vengeance for himself, and then at the end of that trilogy realizes, man, I fucking ruined everything. Because, he's looking around fucking all of Greece and he's like, wow, shit's being destroyed. There's fucking hurricanes and thunder and everything. Man, there's nothing left. And he says that to Athena. Hey, there's nothing left. And then he fucking kills himself. That was his arc for that series. And then, at the end of God of War, the game that you made, Mr. David, it shows, oh, hey, guess what? He's still alive. And for them to be able to transport that from those game series and make it what God of War 4 and God of War Ragnarok is fucking intense, and I love it. It is a beautiful narrative, and yeah, maybe I'm a meat writer for it. I don't care, because that shit is awesome. I think it is amazing that they're able to take two different forms of media and combine them and make them whole. You know what I mean?
Kratos would get boring, says Everett. Well, here's the thing about that. That's like saying James Bond will get boring or Spider-Man will get boring. Yes, I won't belabor the point, but I will tell you something. There was a time in my life in my 20s where I was seriously trying to figure out how to write comic books, and I went to the San Diego Comic-Con and I went to a panel with one of the best comic writers of the last 50 years, Mark Waid, who's done, Kingdom Come, and he's just a great superhero writer. And in the Q&A, I asked him, I said, I don't understand this, though. All these writers say that your characters should arc and there should be change and all this shit. I said, but how do you do that with a franchise character? If Spider-Man at the end of your 24 pages goes from being, oh my God, I can't get my shit together in my personal life and my professional life as Spider-Man are always creating this conflict, which the reader loves. Are you going to say at the end of 24 pages, he's healed? And that's the thing. I could never figure it out, but some writers know how to do it where it can still be the character, but there's a little bit added every iteration that there's a growth, but it's very slow.
So essentially, what he's saying is that people are allowed to have arcs and have growth, but there is a way to do it, a way to slowly go by and do it. And I completely agree. I think that arcs should be slower. I think that maybe it should take more time to develop. But he's Kratos has been developing throughout both of those games. And I'm sorry, but a whole video game is not 24 pages, as he says. A whole video game is hours and hours worth of playtime. He goes through different motions, especially in Ragnarok. He has different times. His main arc, or one of his main arcs, is that he doesn't trust Atreus. He said, in his head, he's like, oh, maybe I do. He doesn't trust him. Atreus goes off and betrays him, whatever. But then every time it gets a little bit better, you see that Kratos is fucking pissed. And then next time it happens, he's like, you know what? I'm glad you're safe. That is an arc. It is a slow development. It's not like from the beginning he was like, I love my boy. I love my son. He is able to do whatever he wants. He is able to do this and that. No, that is not Kratos. In the beginning of the game, he does not trust his son at all. And he is fucking pissed with him. That's part of the reason why Atreus goes off and does his own thing in Asgard anyway. And near the end of the game, and one of the things that he says when Atreus, he's like, there's something I had to do, but I can't do it with you. He goes, yeah, you're right. It's what your choices have done, which saved us all. And that's him saying, I'm starting to realize throughout this development, throughout the beginning of the game, I was kind of a dick. But now, you know what? I trust you. That is a slow development. That is not instantly him saying, oh yeah, he's healed. He still has shit to do. And God, it's so the main theme of this video is that he's just a closed-minded creator. I don't know why he wanted Kratos to go through 8 different games before he realized maybe he's a bit of a dick. You know what I mean?
But let me ask you this: if I came to you and pitched you the character Kratos from 2018's game, and you had never heard of Kratos before, I don't know if you would go, that sounds like a great character. I think he's only great because of he's kind of, he shat the bed in his previous games in terms of as a person, and now he's coming around the mountain.
This is one of the times in that video that I agree with. I do think that God of War 4 has it basically built upon all 3 of the games, because you start the game wondering like, holy shit, what the fuck happened, and then you're going through the story, and I'm not denying that it's a medium that is definitely expanded upon because of the first 3 games, but to say that it's a narrative that really couldn't be held on its own is a little silly. But I do think he is overall right. I do think that God of War 4 is a game that needed the first 3 games to be successful. And I think he might be taking it in a way that's, oh, God of War 4 and God of War Ragnarok, they're trying to make it better than these games. But I think, honestly, he should try to realize that it's more of an homage.
You have this industry where it's getting better with indies and double A's, where as you get older, there is an audience that's there now, whether you're talking artistic games or cozy games or action games like boomer shooters. But playing on this field, I think really requires a better job of, as it relates to God of War, of turning that nozzle down or that spigot down, so you get the personality of the team as you should, but you never lose sight of who your core audience is. Your core audience for God of War, I don't think gives a fuck about family in that way, or raising a kid. I don't think that's their core. It would.
I think he does have a point to be made. Maybe it's not their core people. I feel, God of War 1 through 3 and Ascension are all different games than what God of War 4 and Ragnarok are. They're very different games. But for him to say that they're losing sight of it, I don't think it is. I think narratively, completely different, obviously. But you have to understand, that the gameplay and the combat is still as vicious, it's still as crazy. If anything, I personally think that it feels more vicious. If the fucking when I got the Leviathan axe, I'm fucking stabbing people and I got the blades of chaos spinning around. It feels meaty. It feels good. It feels vicious. It's something that I loved and it's something that I felt was good. I thought it was good that they kept that kind of veracity, or I mean ferocity, sorry, throughout all those games. Kratos is a tactician. He is a fighter. He knows what he is doing. And I don't think they lost sight of that at all. I think if you are talking about those people that, hey, they don't give a fuck about family. They don't give a fuck about having a kid. Maybe you're right. But there's still 80% of the game where you're hacking and slashing. You're throwing fucking hammers and axes and you're fighting big gods and you're doing this and that. There's still that aspect of it. And to that for he is not understanding that a a game narrative and a game gameplay can be completely different. If the people that don't care that, oh, Kratos has a kid now, they I don't think they give a fuck about your story in the first place then. You know, they probably were just like, oh, hey, look, there's a bunch of gods with big boobies and big old fucking muscles. I can kill them. Guess what? If they have that mindset going into these other games, they're getting the same shit. Yeah, maybe it's less gods that they're killing. Who fucking cares? They're still fighting a bunch of guys. They're still killing, and the difficulty I would say is definitely ramped up. All the Valkyrie fights for the first game, all the fucking Berserker fights for the other game, they're crazy. They're fun. It keeps that shit fresh. And I don't know. I just think um, to drive the point home, I think he doesn't really have an understanding that games can change and develop and be different and still have that feel. I don't know. I feel like he's a bit of a goober. This was my fucking first video that I've done where I had like a script, or I didn't have a script, but I had like a sort of idea in my head. It's really terrifying, and I know it's gonna be a little rough. This is my first time editing a video, so the cuts are gonna be shitty. But I just want to thank you guys for watching. If you're seeing this right now, I really appreciate that. I'm hoping to make more content like this soon. I am streaming on Twitch. I don't know how to link the Twitch, but I'll figure that shit out. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope maybe from what I was talking about, I don't mean to come from a place of hate. I just want you people to understand that, and I don't think David's gonna see this video, but I want David to understand it's just a video game. Like it's a good video game and the direction they went is fine, and I don't know, I think maybe he should be a little less upset about it, you know? But anyway, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one.